Hey everyone, today we're taking a look at the Radeon HD 6870, a nearly 10-year-old GPU. Let's go ahead and jump into the specifications really quick. The 6870 has 1120 stream processors, 56 texture units, 32 ROPs, a core clock of 900 MHz, and an effective memory clock of 4.2 GHz. All this goes through a 256-bit memory interface. It has 1 GB of GDDR5. It has a total TDP of 151 watts, and it does require two 6-pin PEG connectors. It supports DirectX up to 11.0 and OpenGL up to 4.3. The GPU is built on a 40nm process and is built on the Terascale 2 architecture. It was launched back on October of 2010 for a launch price of $239 USD. Alright, well, we got MSI Afterburner loaded up, showing our core frequency of 900 MHz and our memory frequency of 1050 MHz. We are also using the Crimson 16.2.1 drivers. Alright, I'll go ahead and list the test system specifications on the left-hand side of the screen for you. I did have a chance to dial in the overclock for the 6870, and I was only able to achieve a 10% increase on the core and on the memory. So our total core clock was 989 MHz, 990 MHz, and the memory frequency jumped from 1050 to 1150 MHz. I did increase the core voltage all the way up to 1300 millivolt, and I did raise the fan speed all the way up to 100% as well in order to keep the temperatures as low as they could be. Alright, well, without further ado, let's jump into the game benchmarks. Well, looking at the performance numbers, you can see where the 6870 does fall short in today's games. And some of these newer titles, such as PlayerUnknown's Battleground, GPU usage was all over the place, as the driver hasn't been updated for quite some time, so there's been no optimization done whatsoever for this card. But for GTA 5 and some of the games around the same time frame, it does still hold its own. Of course, you will be playing the majority of the titles at 1080p low settings. Of course, you can drop the resolution down to 720p or something around that and jump the settings up a little bit for a better experience. But the card today, since it doesn't have updated drivers, it does tend to struggle with modern gaming at 1080p. Alright, well, before we finish up, let's go ahead and take a look at power consumption. And with the card running at stock frequencies with the fan speed left on auto, we saw a total power consumption for the system from 184 to 185 watts at the wall. This again was using the Rise of the Tomb Raider at the beginning of the game, letting the card warm up to its max temperature and take the reading at that time. And now looking at the overclock settings, with everything as high as we could get it, with the fan speed maxed out at 100%, we saw power consumption at the wall from 224 to 229 to 30 watts for total system power consumption. Alright, well that wraps up our look back for the Radeon HD 6870. Please stick around for some upcoming cards. I appreciate you guys checking out the video, and if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thanks a lot. Bye.